Blood drips onto polished marble, each drop echoing like a hammer in the hush that falls over the Grand Hyatt Ballroom in downtown Chicago. That fancy spot where the city's elite gather to pat each other's backs. Victor Kane, the real estate mogul who's built his empire by bulldozing neighborhoods and flipping them for billions, looms over this young black waitress on her knees, his tailored suit splashed with Cabernet, his cool shattered just like the glass shards at their feet. "You idiot can even pour a drink without screwing up, worthless piece of..." His words cut through the chandeliers and champagne flutes, landing like punches on Lena Brooks, 25, invisible in her uniform, bleeding from the broken stem, the kind of woman who serves but never speaks up, or so he thinks. She should have shrunk back, apologized profusely, maybe even teared up to save her job, but Lena? She rises slow and steady, like she's drawing strength from some deep well life drilled into her, meeting his rage with this eerie calm that chills the room. "My apologies, sir," she says, her voice carrying across the crystal and silver like a quiet storm brewing, making old Henry Caldwell's grip tighten on his glass, the Caldwell Properties emblem glinting like a bomb about to go off. And somewhere in the shadows, a phone starts recording, because in this age, nothing stays hidden for long. Flashback 6 months. Henry's sitting behind this massive oak desk in his office overlooking Lake Michigan, the kind that's seen deals rise and fall like tides. At 73, his face is a map of wins and heartbreaks. 3 decades turning Caldwell Properties from a mom-and-pop outfit into a powerhouse that shapes whole communities. Across from him, Lena sips black coffee with hands steady as a surgeon Shans that once gripped the blocks at national track trials, dreaming of gold before life, threw her a curveball she couldn't outrun. "Tell me, Lena," Henry says, leaning in with that gravelly voice weighted by years of hard choices. "What do you see in Victor Kane up there on the screen?" The display scrolls through Summit Development's rocket ride, $50 billion in assets, sprawling suburbs eaten up and spit out as luxury condos, one man's ego ballooning like a bad investment. Lena studies the photos, Victor cutting ribbons with mayors, shaking hands with governors, standing proud over demolished homes that used to be families' lifelines. "I see my dad," she finally says, and Henry perks up because she doesn't talk much about the guy who bailed when her brother Jamal's diagnosis hit, when hospital bills swallowed their savings, when dreams turned into survival mode. Someone who confuses meanness for toughness, who climbs by kicking down anyone in his way. That's when the plan clicks into place, like puzzle pieces you didn't know fit. Operation Mirror Check. Henry dubs it. Lena goes undercover in the world she knows too well, waitressing at high-end events to fund her Northwestern degree, balancing trays and term papers while eavesdropping on the powerful who treat servers like furniture, spilling their real selves when they think no one's listening. "I need to know who's worth our partnerships," Henry explains, but we both know it's deeper. It's about Jamal pushing through therapy with shaky limbs, coding apps on a secondhand laptop. It's about the families Victor relocates for his gated communities, lives reduced to eviction notices. It's about building neighborhoods that lift people up, not lock them out. The irony? Lena, Northwestern summa cum laude, headed to Stanford Law but deferring to serve appetizers to guys who'd sell out their own kin for a zoning variance. But she's faced worse, holding Jamal through endless seizures, choosing ER waits over finish lines, trading medals for moments that keep her family whole. Fast forward to that night at the Grand Hyatt. Victor's holding court with 200 guests, his voice booming like a general rallying for war. But underneath that slick charm lurks this raw hunger from his rough Detroit upbringing, worn-out shoes and all, vowing never to feel powerless again. "Ladies and gentlemen," he booms, smile sharp as a knife. "Tonight's a game-changer for Summit Developments with our smart community tech. We're not just upgrading neighborhoods, we're wiping out the dead weight." Applause ripples because money talks, but in the edges, phones light up with whispers, a reporter catching his fleeting scowl, a streamer sensing scandal before it hits. Lena glides between tables like a shadow with eyes, noting how Victor snaps at the setup crew, his tone flipping from silky with investors to snarly with staff. Seen this act before, men masking insecurity with cruelty, empires built on broken backs. The vintage Cabernet she pours could pay a month's rent, and she watches Victor guzzle it, his polish peeling away layer by layer. 8 years back, 16-year-old Lena crouched at those trials in Seattle, body primed like a coil after years outrunning poverty, the crowd holding breath for the starter's pistol that'd launch her to freedom. But then the call came, not hers, but urgent. Jamal seizing bad. They can't stop it, get here now. She peeled off her bib, number 422 etched in her mind, walked away from the track that promised escape from food stamps and foreclosures, straight to the hospital reeking of bleach and fear. Jamal, tiny at 8, wired to machines beeping, blame cerebral palsy flaring into emergency surgery, 6 figures they didn't have, insurance dodging with loopholes. Mom had remortgaged everything. Dad had ghosted years ago, deciding some fights weren't winnable. Enter Henry Caldwell, not as a savior, but a sharp-eyed investor spotting raw potential in the girl who'd chosen heart over headlines. I'll cover the surgery and your schooling, he said. No fluff. But you'll learn the business. This ain't handout. It's betting on grit, the stuff that outlasts market crashes. 8 years on, that bet's paid dividends. Lena, top of her class despite juggling jobs, fluent in power plays and poverty lines, ready for law school, but pausing for this deeper lesson. Reading men like Victor the way she reads tracks, spotting the stumbles that reveal souls. Tonight, Victor spins his rags to riches yarn for the umpteenth time, glossing over the evicted tenants, the rigged HOA votes that hand him land grabs, his dad's grease-stained hands he scrubs from memory with fancy cologne. But the wine's working its magic, loosening his grip, his fingers twitching to that hidden photo in his pocket, a faded shot of his old man, reminder of roots he'd rather bury. His eyes lock on Lena clearing plates, something about her straight spine bugging him like an old itch. Maybe it echoes his mom's endless shifts cleaning up after folks like him. Hey you, he barks, voice laced with bought authority. Clean this right, gentlemen. Let me show you what our efficiency tech replaces. Dead-end jobs, no skills, dragging down progress. The investors shift uncomfortably. Herrera from the bank, clearing his throat. Almansor, checking time, but Victor's on a roll, wine fueling the fire. Look at her, probably on welfare. No drive. The rot in our communities. Lies spill easy, blocking out his own family struggles. But Lena stands still, her patience a weapon. Then it happens, backing away from his jab. Her heel catches, tray tips. Cabernet arcs perfectly onto his suit. Silence. Then explosion. You stupid bitch, this costs more than your pathetic life. His boot grinds her hand into the spill, blood mixing with red wine. Phones rising like witnesses at a trial. Get this worthless trash out. Henry rises then, parting the crowd like Moses, kneeling by Lena with real care. You okay? He asks soft, helping her up as Victor stammers. Folks, Henry says, casual but cutting. I've built Caldwell properties on spotting builders from breakers, and 3 years ago, I found gold in Lena Brooks, Northwestern star, track phenom who ditched glory for her brother's fight, my right hand, my successor. The room gasps. She's been vetting partners not on paper, but character. Victor, you just flunked. Deals crumble like bad foundations, investors bail. Summit stock tanks 20% overnight. Lawsuits from displaced families flood in. HOA scandals unearthed. Victor's ousted with a fat check but shattered rep, retreating to Detroit to coach coding in community centers, reconnecting with his dad through quiet deeds, not words, tutoring kids who remind him of his younger self, finally grasping dignity's not zero-sum. Lena? She launches the Brooks Fund, $100 million for developments that empower residents, not evict them. Jamal's tech startup, thriving on inclusive apps, proving kindness builds stronger than greed. Communities shift. HOAs mandate ethics training. Execs shadow entry-level gigs. The old grab land fast, yielding to build together. Her TED Talk goes viral, but it's the quiet win scar on her hand, a badge that redefined power. A year later, Lena's keynoting a forum, scar catching lights. A man called me worthless, once meant to crush, but it taught us all. Overlook the servers, the cleaners, the fighters at your peril. They're the real backbone. Ovation thunders, but in Detroit, Victor watches, nodding to his dad. She's right, we forget, but dignity? It's what lifts us all. Crazy how one spill sparked a reckoning, huh? Makes you wonder if power's about who you step on or lift up. Where do we draw the line in our own backyards? Drop a comment. Ever seen HOA drama like this? or dealt with a bully who got their comeuppance? Share your take on justice and communities hit like If Dignity Wins. Subscribe for more real talk stories that hit home.